BMAX Audio Adventure, BJJ 365. This is Irish Keet. This is the new format for the podcast. Mondays and Wednesdays, me and Brandon are going to talk about whatever interests us on those days. And then on Friday, I'm going to recap the best bits from the podcast, the best bits from Brandon's live Q&As, and whatever other audio we have of Brandon's lovely voice. So in this first clip, Brandon talks about the difference between guard retention and guard recovery. Please excuse the audio as it was recorded during his drive to SBG, Alabama last week before we had the microphones that are going to make next week's podcast sound much better. Here it is.
What's the principle in defending guard passes, like guard retention?
You got a couple of things that you have to worry about principally right there. Obviously, the obvious things that most people talk about are framing. Like, you need to be able to frame, you need to be able to move your hip, you need to be able to control the inside space. But in my opinion, the number one thing that stops somebody from preventing a guard pass, so when you're dealing with guard retention, not guard recovery, guard retention, you need to, number one, you need to recognize that there's a difference between retention and recovery. With retention, we are keeping what we have. With recovery, we have to gain back what we have lost. And we don't ever want to be in a position where we have to recover the guard. We want to always keep the guard, if that makes sense. So, one of the main things, I say the main thing that people do this, that keeps them bound up with the guard or gets them past, is that they try to hold on too long. Like, if this is the guard pass, we're climbing a mountain. The guard pass itself is a mountain. You're on the bottom, and as this guy gets closer and closer and closer to passing your guard, and he hits kind of the apex right there, you should have already changed before he tips over into the guard pass. Like, he's going to pass, he's going to pass, he's going to pass, he's going to pass, he's passing. He should never be passing without you having already changed, right? So I don't want you to think about the guard as, well, I'm a half guard player, I'm an open guard player, I'm a closed guard player, I do spider guard. Don't think of the guard that way. Think of the guard like from a, like, what does it do standpoint, like a practical standpoint. The guard is there to defend you and to keep you on the other side of my hips, right? To keep my legs in the game somehow. Anything that defends me is still the guard. And so if I try to hold on to I don't know why I'm using spider guard. If I try to hold on to my butterfly guard, when you're passing in a way that asks me to play my half guard, I'm gonna get my butterfly guard passed. And holding on to it is just dogged determination to get my guard passed. So I'm playing butterfly guard. As you pass that and refuse the butterfly guard, you offer another way. Butterfly and half is a good way to see it, because most people understand how interchangeable those are, right? If you've been practicing for very long, the butterfly guard and the half guard are like right next to each other. So if you're holding on to the half guard, I want to sweep this dude with my lockdown or whatever. I want to sweep him. I want to get up to the dogfight, and he's shutting that down because he's creating. He's creating space at the hip right there in a way that stops your plan. Flip the butterfly hook in and change. Don't stay there and wait for him to pass a guard that's not working for you in the first place. So retain guard, not retain half guard, retain guard. If you have to change guards, change them. That's why there are 1,000 different iterations of the guard, because you need them all. They're all a manifestation of the principle of keeping this guy away from me, being defensive. So another thing that I think people run into with guard retention is they forget the purpose of the guard being defensive, and they turn it into an offensive, like, cash grab, where they're trying to just steal real estate or take from this guy. That's great while it's working out, and while your guard is spitting fire on the other guy, it feels like a great strategy. But I do think that desire to tap people is what gets most people past. Or that desire to go in there and sweep him and hit him with my game, that's what gets most people past. And so my strategy as a guard player is the opposite of that. I just stay back, stay safe, feel you out, see where I can lay these traps. Of course, I have my patterns that I want to fall into, and then I have muscle memory, and I'll snap like the flying kung fu he was talking about. I'll snap that on, when the opportunity presents itself. But what I have to do, the way I choose to do it, is that I lay traps for you as I feel you out. Like, oh, your tendency is here, your tendency is here. I have just the solution for that. And I'll pull it out of my pocket and I present it to you in this fashion.
But with weapons, just as with other things, you should not make distinctions or preferences. Going too far is the same as not going far enough. That's a quote from the Book of Five Rings, and Brandon reminds me of a modern-day Musashi, so I thought it was relevant. In the next clip, Brandon talks about mounting larger opponents. This will be a good one for the smaller guys.
So, this comes with a couple of different scenarios. Is this so much bigger that when you're mounted, your knees can't touch the ground? That kind of big? Because I don't usually mount guys like that. I'll stay knee on belly and move around them while they try to get up, and I'll just pull them back down, pull them back down. With a big guy, my main concern is not keeping mount. My main concern is keeping him working, keeping him stressed. Because, like, let's say I'm rolling with a dude who's 270 pounds, like he's a big old monster. I have to keep myself safe. I do not want to get hurt because, like I said, I don't take breaks. Like, I'm trying to train again tonight, not just tomorrow. I want to train again today. And so I'm not going to go out there and come after a 270-pound guy and get hurt. I'm going to settle down. All I got to do, he's 270. Get him to start the car and just have him follow me around the block 3 or 4 times. We're going to spend some gas before I start coming in to attack him. And so stay safe, stay safe. He's coming at you, framed out, looking for spots, make him check his base all the time. And just by nature of him being 270 pounds, he's burning a lot more gas than he wants to be. Good. I'm not burning any. When the resources become a little more even, then I'll talk to you about coming after you. But so a lot of times I won't mount a big guy early on, even if I have the opportunity. So let's say I got him on his back and I'm passing, I won't mount him right there necessarily. Not necessarily, depends on what it feels like. But if I felt that he'll explode and he's trying to throw me around, I'm just sticking and forcing him to defend his guard. Make him try to recover guard. A lot of times you go mount somebody or pass their guard and they relax because they know what to do. But that spot in between, like I'm almost past and you're struggling to keep your guard, that's where dudes work really hard. I like to make people spend their money right there.
In my experience rolling with Brandon, he doesn't tend to just rush to mount or side control. He will play in half guard and make you carry every bit of his weight and make you waste all of your energy. So by the time he does get to side control or mount, his job of submitting you just became so much easier because you are just a shell of what you were before that roll started. The way you pass can have a dramatic effect on the other person's mental well-being. And you learn that fairly quick rolling with Brandon. This next answer is the harsh truth that no one wants to hear. I've been told this by Brandon plenty of times, and so many times you just want to say, no, he's definitely wrong this time. He's right about other things, but in this case, he's wrong. My ego is safe if I believe that he is wrong. But here you go, have a listen. If you're feeling like you're not progressing much, this is what you got to practice.
Tips for a bigger player whose game is to be on top.
A big guy whose game is to be on top?
And he wants to improve his bottom game.
Oh, it came with a caveat. Stop going to top. I know that sounds so... It can't be that, because I win when I'm on top. Stop winning. invest in some failure. It'll do you good. Stay on your back. Every time you get an opportunity to come up, note it, got it. But here's the hard part, though. You can't slap hands with your partner and go, hey, listen, man, I'm working on some new stuff, so, if you tap me, it don't really count. If you pass my guard, just because I've been working on all this new stuff, you can't do that. You got to let him do his thing. Go hard. Just as far as he knows, it's slap, bump, or rolling like normal. You just got to give yourself extra restrictions in the game. That's how I roll pretty much every time. I give myself extra restrictions. And that, I think, will really help you to refine whatever it is that you're working on, whether it's your guard or your top or your passing or your particular submission or whatever.
We talked about this on Wednesday's podcast. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's a good test to see if you have your ego in Neon Belly or your ego has you in Neon Belly. To finish off today's podcast, Brandon explains how Jiu-Jitsu is both martial and art and why we need both.
I think everybody drifts more towards martial or more towards art. Like, we all have our different, I don't guess it's a spectrum sort of between martial and art, but it is both. It's fully both at the same time. So like me, the martial part, the aggression, the killing, all of that I had to kind of manufacture. It didn't come natural. And I got pretty good at it. But it wasn't like the natural way for me. I'm much more excited about the art of jiu-jitsu. And I know jiu-jitsu, I did both. Of course, I competed and I've done a lot of other martial arts. And so I've done a lot of hard contact over the years. So I don't mind the martial, especially now. But my heart pulls me towards art and like exploring the depths and drawing analogies to my own life and like, I like the art side of it the best. I find the most benefit for me personally from that part of it. Assuming I'm still training hard and stuff. That's the number one benefit. Is you have to train every day. That's what keeps it pure. And I think competition is a lot about who can take that art and now stack athleticism on top of it. And the great question, the great debate has always been, can jiu-jitsu beat the superior athlete? Can you have technique be your art? Can it be so clean that it can beat even somebody who knows the art and is more athletic? Like they're even good at the art and they're super strong and athletic. Can your art be so clean that it can still beat them without athleticism?
That got me fired up to train. I want to go out to the mats right now. Now, where did I put my... there they are. My customized, personalized, handmade leather flip-flops from Toehold. That's at toe_HOLD. Don't forget, you have a chance to win a pair of these flip-flops. Free flip-flops. All you have to do is screenshot the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to it on, whether it's iTunes, Spreaker, whatever. Put it on your Instagram story and tag at toe_HOLD and tag BrandonMC.ninja. So once a month, there's a chance to win a free pair of flip-flops. Or you can just slide into his DMs and get a little discount on some of his other gear. He also does some really cool t-shirts and some other stuff. Let him know you heard about it on the podcast. That's all for today, folks. Peace.